most politically incorrect black man on the planet, Rod Eccles.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom133.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom133.com. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom133.com.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000 or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company, General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Good morning and welcome, everyone, all my fellow liberty lovers across the globe, as well as you wonderful ecclesiastites here on the Rod Eccles Show this Monday morning, as I broadcast to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust, and no, it did not change over the weekend, because I looked this morning and it's still live free or die. The call-in number this morning is 603-835-3224. I got to say, the phones are already jumping. I don't know. Something must have happened over the weekend, and people are already starting to call in. I haven't even started my monologue yet. You guys are supposed to wait for me to get my cue, right? You know, to take the cue for me of what we're going to talk about today. But you know what? We'll see. I know I've been talking. I talked to some people over the weekend, you know, via chat and stuff like that, and I said I would get to the calls right away so you guys wouldn't have to wait so long. But I didn't think you'd be calling like right now. But that's okay. That shows excitement and shows enthusiasm. It shows that you really want to participate. So I will postpone my monologue for now, and we'll take the first of two callers. If you're still on hold after this, just stay on. Please be patient and stay on hold. Let's get to see if we can get to the first caller here. 781. You're live on the Rod Eccles Show. Go.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be you, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm calling about Trump.
Okay.
I
and what's going
Trump.
on with the Donald this weekend?
What's going on with the Donald this weekend? Yes. Well, I certainly hope he's going to win. It's coming really close, and I hope he's going to get the nomination. I certainly hope that, and I'm calling from Massachusetts. Massachusetts isn't giving New Hampshire a lot of help as far as trying to get, people to get out there, get registered who weren't registered, change over if they have to change over, and vote for Trump.
I think you probably need to really focus on Massachusetts before you focus on your neighbors to the north.
No, I understand that, and I For anybody who's even thinking about voting for Hillary, I think they're absolutely out of their mind. She should be in prison. But the thing that appealed to me about Trump is that this is a guy who historically has pretty much won his whole life, and I don't think that he himself would accept losing as a president, being in the office and actually doing a bad job. And I don't think he'd be afraid to fire people either.
No, I don't.
He'd hold
think
them
he
accountable.
Would. I don't think he would. But speaking of Massachusetts, are you a registered Republican in Massachusetts?
I changed for Trump for this campaign.
You did?
I changed.
Really?
I did.
You were a Democrat, and now so would you consider yourself to be what they call a Reagan Democrat or a conservative Democrat?
I'm definitely a Reagan Democrat. I used to work under the Department of Defense, and what kills me about George Bush Jr. is that he goes on and on about the military and the strength of the military. I worked under Reagan, and I worked under George Bush Sr., and it was under Sr. that our budget began getting depleted, and they started letting people go, and that's when we started to fall apart militarily.
Well, that's due to because we won the Cold War, the Soviet Union fell apart. It was called the peace dividend.
But still, if you remember, Reagan had the Star Wars program.
Yes, he did.
Reagan was putting a lot of money into that, and it wasn't just because of the Cold War. He understood that the Middle East was a threat.
You know, one of the things I find interesting about you don't hear people apologizing today for this, and you're not going to hear them apologize. But they used to really trash Reagan about the Star Wars program. Mm-hmm. Now, the Star Wars program gave us directly the Patriot missile that knocks other missiles out of the air. That's a part of the Star Wars.
It wasn't a success. It wasn't a success in the beginning, but true.
Well, no, I mean, that's why it's a program. You're trying to develop it. There is no success right off the bat with a new technology. But he saw that was something that was needed. Now, originally, the original thing was to put anti-missile missiles in space. But that's how the technology was first thought up and it developed into the Patriot missile, which is very effective.
He was a strong supporter of Tesla, and Tesla, that was really taken from Tesla, if you remember the great scientist Tesla, who basically came out of the Cold War. And, I think it's still an excellent program. I don't think they should have given up on it, and because his ideology was to create, if we could, a force around the country itself. Talk about borders. I mean, this is talking about borders at its greatest, right? When it would be totally impenetrable. I think right now, if Reagan was alive today, I think that he'd probably roll over in his grave to see what was happening, you know what I mean, today with the borders.
Oh, yeah, borders are way too far open. Now, seeing that you're in Massachusetts, how do you feel about the Globe?
About the what?
The Boston Globe endorsing Hillary Clinton.
Well, I think that has probably more to do with the politics. First of all, this is a Democratic state, as you well know, right? Pretty much. A lot of the politics comes out of the Worcester area, believe that or not. There's a lot of ties to that area. And you have a lot of people who are getting grant monies who do not want the grant monies, which come out of the Democratic establishment. Whether you're talking about the homelessness problem or whatever problem you're talking about, they're usually backed up by the Democrats here that are in power currently. They don't want to rock the boat on that. Even if they know it's the wrong choice, they don't want their programs disrupted.
So, but if they would have backed Sanders, they'd probably get a bigger cut.
Well, they don't want it touched, period. They're not going to, the systems in the programs themselves, they keep going on about the heroin problem. Mm-hmm. It's more of a pill problem first. You know what I mean? And I actually sent something to Trump about that. That's, it's a pill problem that turns most of the time, and the doctors are involved in this. And, it's a huge, big problem. These are all big problems that have to do with, these methadone clinics. These are part of the programs they don't want touched because they're all making money. Massachusetts, their methadone programs are ridiculous. I thought methadone was to help people get clean someday, not keep them addicted to it for 10, 20, years. And some forever they're going to stay on it. because the state is making money off them. That's from the insurance companies.
Oh, okay. I don't know how methadone works, but okay.
Well, I'm just saying, from the inside of all these programs, they all have a hidden agenda. Very much like lobbyists, right? It's very much the same. So in order to even get to even be able to help with these programs, you're gonna have to really cut through the fat. I'm not sure if I certainly hope whoever does win, if they're going to try to make a change with these programs, that they really get somebody in there in these programs and really take a look and cut through the fat off of some of the people who even created these programs, because we are wasting money in so many different ways that it's ridiculous. That is not helping the people. I know up in New Hampshire, they go on and on about the big heroin problem, and they're trying to blame it all on Mexico. It first starts here at home, how people are getting addicted to begin with. You know what I mean? The pain pills, and that's happening on our city streets, or even in the back, the not so populated areas. You know what I mean? People getting drugs from their doctors, and then it's just one problem after another problem. And I think that Trump will get the right people so long as he is willing to listen to. Nobody knows the problems more than the people at the grassroots level. Would you not agree with that?
Well, yeah, the local people.
Absolutely.
As your famous Tip O'Neill once said, all politics is local. So absolutely, it starts at the local level.
Right, but I mean, from the people on the streets, from the people who are living in the poverty, or the people who are living with drug addiction, or a person who, a family who is affected by drug addiction, or homelessness, or, personally, my father, 90 years old, World War II veteran, stuck in a VA home, and I cringe every time I go in there the way he's treated. I mean, I would know those problems, that problem about a VA facility, probably more than anybody else, because I have to deal with it every day. Those are the people that you have to go listen to and in order to fix the problem.
You would think
because I can tell you I get nowhere talking to these people in the state. I get nowhere.
You would think that's what they would want to do, is talk to the local people and, the people who are on the ground, the people who are on the front lines every single day. You'd think they'd want to get some information and some knowledge and suggestions from those types of people, but instead they come up with these highbrow ideas, and, both parties are guilty of this, ignoring the little people, if you will. But you think that Donald Trump is not ignoring the little person.
I've been at his rallies. I mean, right now I think for me to even honestly answer, I think that personally I have my own kind of idea of what for Donald. I think this is going to be his last hurrah. I really do. If you look at his life from, its inception, everybody thinks that he was born out of money. That really is not really the fact. You know what I mean? From his father. His father had to work for that money in the very, very beginning. It wasn't like he was born into it. You know what I mean? Like some rich, like a Kennedy. That just wasn't a fact. But I think he has more of a connection with the people on the streets because he is in construction. I think that he does have, probably a better sense. And when I look at the commercials with Jeb Bush, everybody's surrounded. They're not that I'm knocking elderly people. God, I have the greatest respect for them. But I'm just saying he's the people that are surrounded by him that he's listening to. I think Jeb Bush would be one of those people to just do whatever he felt like he wanted to. But Hillary thinks she knows it all, so just forget about that one. The other candidate, Cruz, I just cannot even stand looking at the man, literally. But the great thing, though, about this particular campaign is, now, I'm not going to say my age, but I'm pretty old. And and I've seen quite a few campaigns. This campaign is exhilarating. This is what a campaign should be. Whether you like them, you hate them, it doesn't matter. This is what democracy is supposed to be about. And I'm going to tell you something. If they do not give Trump a fair shake, and I would say this about any candidate, then we do not have democracy, and everybody should be up in arms. And one can argue if we even have democracy to begin with. But the whole point is, if that happens, because, they're already there's talks about, what Ryan's trying to do to block Trump. I mean, I just think that's sick. And that they are completely anti-American if they do something like that. I mean, if it's the will of the people, we've seen this with Romney. I'm worried about deceptive betting. We know from around 2000, when the committee, that we know that happened. So, somebody came and asked, hey, can you create a program? We couldn't prove that it was actually implemented, but, from the testimony of the programmer, he was actually approached. So that's disturbing. It's really disturbing. Yeah. This country's just in a big, big mess. It really is. And as far as the whole Islamic problem, I am not one of those people who believe, and I don't believe the majority of America is either, that we hate Muslims. I do not believe that for one moment the majority of people feel that way. And if anybody has a question, pick up a Quran, read it. Pick up a Bible, read it. You'll see they both have some pretty archaic ways of saying things. And it's a caste system. You know what I mean? You have to put it in its proper perspective. There are great Muslims out there, but I will say this about the Muslims. If they have a problem with what's going on within their own ideology with some of the different sects, then they need to stand up and they need to be outspoken and they need to fight against them. You know what I mean? It isn't, they're trying to make this is like it's the Americans who just feel this way. And we have every right to want to protect our people, our borders, and our soldiers before we can protect anybody overseas. And quite frankly, we don't have the money anymore.
That's true. We are broke as a nation. As wealthy as we are, what are we? We're probably the richest broke people on the planet right now.
I mean, I was just looking last night at what the median income is. I mean, across the different states, we're pathetic. Really, we're pathetic. Massachusetts is like $45,000. I myself went to school for 6 years, and I say, for what? I really thought that I'm making less now than I was when I was younger.
Well, hey, the Obama economy is roaring, right?
Well, I mean, it's discouraging. And like that, one thing Trump is right. We are not using the people here in this country. I saw this when I worked for the Department of Defense. We got some of the best positions were given to people not even in this country, from this country. We have great minds in this country, and they're not being able to be used to their full potentiality, and that's such a waste. It's a waste, let alone what it does to the person themselves. It's a domino effect. The way, you know what I mean? When people your own people can't feel good about themselves, you're going to have more crime. You're going to have more innovative ways that they're going to make money that aren't particularly legal. You're going to have, it's just a big domino effect. You're going to have more mental illness. People are going to get depressed. You're going to have, this is the problem. I mean, it can go on and on and on, but you have to use the people that you have, because you get some great people here that are brilliant and great innovators. Think of the things that came out of the United States of America that made us great. It was our innovation. And we need to start using that again and stop looking for it somewhere else. Did you catch 60 Minutes yesterday?
I did not.
About the philanthropists, the billionaires, the entrepreneurs, how they're donating half of their income to good causes. The majority of those good causes that they spoke of weren't even going to help this country. Helping unemployment in Africa. Are you kidding me? They were all like helping programs outside of the country.
Uh-oh. Did we get a switch here? Automatic switch. I'm sorry to the last caller. Looks like we got a new caller, 862. You're live on the Rod Eccles Show. Hello. You're up next.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm calling to voice my support for Donald Trump.
Okay. Yeah, the last caller was also calling about Trump, but for some reason she clicked out and you clicked in, so you're on. Go.
All righty then. He's the best man we could ever hope for.
Okay, let me ask, why do you think Trump over, say, Cruz or Rubio or even Rand Paul or even somebody who's like Jeb Bush, who's probably a moderate? Like
Number one, Donald Trump has been we the people his entire life. Okay, Donald Trump gets it. Donald Trump knows what it's like to be on this side of the fence. He's not a born-bred politician. He's a businessman. And more so, he's an American businessman. He's a success. He is what all of us strive to be, with his compassion. He's always had compassion. He's not doing it for the show. He's not doing it to be, the ratings. He's always done it. I'm from New Jersey. I am very familiar with Donald Trump and in my neck of the woods. Donald Trump is a good man. He's a good man in his heart. He's a good man in his spirit. He radiates. He's been blessed with just amazing gift of compassion.
So why
and
not,
brilliance
Christie,
and brilliance.
Your Governor Christie is pretty compassionate. Did you vote for him for governor?
Did I vote for Christie? I did vote for Christie and for governor. I was married to a police officer, so I'm not too happy about the choices he's made with, teachers and police officers. But again, I'm calling to support Trump because I feel that he is a man of his word. He, like it or not, he's truth. He speaks the truth. You can't argue with that. He speaks the truth. And we need a strong leader. We need a man that knows what he's doing. And there's not one person that has the knowledge and the spirit and the endurance that this country needs to get back to where it needs to be, even better than where it is, where it was. I'm sorry. I truly believe in Trump with all I have, and whether the GOP backs him or not, I will write his name in. Everyone I know will write his name in. He is what America needs.
Well, you're definitely what they would call a Trumpite. But I'm curious, though, because...
No, I'm not a Trumpite. I'm an American. I'm an American that wants her country back. I believe in Mr. Trump. I believe in Donald Trump. His children, he raised great children. He is a leader. He leads from his spirit, okay? And that's how I feel.
Say what you want about the third generation Trumps, but there is no scandal in any of them.
There is no scandal because they're raised with the same ethic that Donald Trump has. He was able to, with all the money, everything that he's gone through, he has taught values to his family. Those values are the same values he's going to bring when he's negotiating with whoever he's negotiating with. He's not a politician. He is a man that is brilliant. We're lucky. We are lucky and blessed to even have him standing up for us right now. And I love him. I love everything he stands for. And I think that the only chance that we have is Donald Trump. And you know what? Cruz is a nice man. I think Ted Cruz is a nice man. And I'd like to see Ted somewhere in the Trump somewhere with Trump, because I think he could bring something to the table, but I don't think, I don't think. Cruz does not have what Donald Trump has. And we all know that. Most of us do. And I do believe Trump feels that Cruz is a good man too. And he's not trying to hurt Cruz. He's being honest. He's saying, look, take it to court, get the clarity, get clarification. America doesn't need any more birth certificate issues. Where were you born? Who are you? Have we had enough of that yet or not? That should have been resolved before he even decided to run.
That is a good answer to that whole issue. You're correct.
We don't need any more questions. And to be honest with you, I think America feels the same way. Whether you're born in Canada or America, let's face it, we share the border. We're pretty much similar in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, we have to. Cruz is the biggest supporter of our Constitution, that I hear, and besides Trump, too. However, if anyone should know better, it should be him, and that's my problem with that. Like, the Constitution, right?
Yes.
Why is this a surprise to you? Like, we're not talking about someone that has no knowledge of the Constitution. We're talking about Cruz studying, proclaiming to be an expert on it. Why are you acting like this is a surprise that we want to know? It is our law of our lands. And I'm not saying Cruz doesn't think he's been through with Cuba and his father. I mean, that's terrible. He knows more than anyone knows what it's like to. However, just do the right thing and get clarity for America. Why should we question it? We shouldn't. It should be solved, done, and put away.
Good point. Very good point. I do thank you for your call. We're up against a hard break here, and so another one in Trump's corner.
Go Trump, go baby.
Thank you for
God
the
bless America. Bye.
Well, there's another one for Trump, as you folks can very well see. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there who are in support of Trump for various reasons, and they're all valid. Gotta say, they're valid. You know, you can say what you want. Trump himself may have had a couple of marital scandals, but other than that, there isn't much scandal to Donald Trump, and definitely not to his kids.
On January 21st, 9 p.m., controversial and international rapper-songwriter Corey Preem will be performing his latest single, Blame It On My Mama, from his latest mixtape, There's Heaven and Then There's Hell. Hip-hop royalty will be in attendance, and a special guest is expected to stop in for a performance. It all happens at the Drome at 85 Avenue A, New York, New York. Tickets just $15. Say Blame It On My Mama at the door to possibly win a free pair of Samsung Oculus Rift virtual reality glasses. Visit CoreyPreem.com for more information. That's CoreyPreme.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Start training for a new career in as little as 18 days. National EMS Institute's innovative boot camp program will train you for a new career. Learn to respond to emergency situations and become a certified EMT in just 18 days. National EMS Institute guarantees 100% job placement. Visit www.nationaleMSinstitute.com today to learn more about our 18-day boot camp. Or call us at 1-800-497-6732. NationalEMSinstitute.com.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, franzblack.com. Franz Black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
And welcome back. It is I, your lovable host, coming back to you live. You can give me a call at 603-835-3224 if you should so desire to do so. We'll be here until noon. You got until then. I do like to thank, and just a reminder that because I am working all alone here in the Bunker Eyes home studio, so I'm handling all the generalized host duties that would normally be handled by 2, 3, or even sometimes 4 people. I'm doing all the work on my own. So if you are calling, just be patient. You will get on the air. You just have to wait your turn, as it were. Obviously, I cannot have a lengthy pre-call conversation with you. So if it sounds like I'm short or curt with you when I say please hold, that's just what I mean. Just please hold on. We will get to you as soon as the time permits. That's how we're going to be doing it from now on. So if you do call, I know a lot of people think that it doesn't work the same way here as it does for like the big guys. I know some of the seminar callers have been taught that there are 2 good times to get through. One is before the show starts, and I don't take really any calls before the show starts. The second time is during the commercial breaks. Well, that, again, is a little bit difficult because I can only put so many people on hold. So some people will get through and some people get bumped out for some reason. I like the last call. For whatever reason, Skype just decided to switch calls on me. I was touching nothing. No button was being touched when the calls switched. So that's something Skype... I understand that happens with Skype sometimes. So I guess if you're using Skype, you got to be a little bit careful with that. Maybe it's just the glitch that Microsoft has to iron out. I know I've heard of stuff like that with Skype. Weird stuff, Rare. It is rare, from what I understand, but it can happen from time to time with Skype, I understand. Skype was bought out by Microsoft, I do believe, so that might be the reason why sometimes it gets a little bit glitchy. In any case, there is something here. I know I alluded to it last week before the weekend. And earlier today, if you heard it with my conversation with the first caller this morning, a wonderful woman from Massachusetts who called in for, in support of Trump. But there is an issue out there in the Boston area. Now, I know that she mentioned that the median income in Boston or in Massachusetts around with 45, 46, less than 50, somewhere between $45,000 and $50,000 a year. Now, granted, if you live out in the westernmost part of the state, 45, 50 grand a year is not a bad living. That's middle class. Cost of living out in the western part of the state is much less. Well, there are fewer people. If you, obviously the eastern part of the state, that eastern half, has a lot to do with Boston and the seacoast, the Massachusetts seacoast. You get closer to water, the more expensive land obviously property gets. But 45 to 50 grand inside of Boston proper, greater Boston area, is really not doing all that great. It's really, considering what is the median house in Boston itself, I think is now median price is over 300 grand. Well, that's kind of difficult to afford on $50,000 a year. So you would think that with all, and there are other costs associated with living and such, you would think that these people would definitely go for Bernie Sanders, but the Boston Globe has opted to go and support Hillary Rodham Clinton. 570, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show. Go. Good. How are you, James? Yeah, absolutely. That number is, I saw that number and I thought it was, at first, when you first look at it, I thought it was kind of high, but then I realized what is going on lately and how Americans are feeling. And I noticed that a lot, things are going bad when you have all the pollsters out there trying to reconfigure their questions to make the poll sound a little bit better for the incumbent party as possible. And these people they've been bending over backwards to try to make Obama look good, sound good, all that kind of stuff. They've even tried to prop up his fake numbers, and they get attacked every single time. Well,
here, you've got to ask yourself, has the man failed at anything? Can you point to me something that the man has truly not gotten on top of or gotten the better of in his entire life? And I say no, And last but not least, if some of you would just take the time to read The Art of the Deal, you would see what's going on in this campaign. You would understand a lot more of what he's doing, what he's trying to accomplish.
You know, I hear a lot of people, they support Trump for different reasons. So let me ask you what it is for you that put you over the top on for Trump versus, I don't know, a Cruz, a Rubio, a Christie. You know, Christie's a governor. He was a popular governor at one point. I don't know how popular he is in New Jersey.
New Jersey's a mess. I'm sorry. I grew up in Northeast Pennsylvania. I grew up just inside of a little town called Scranton, Pennsylvania, is where I grew up. I'm in the Carolinas now, but if anybody knows anything about New Jersey, and we got family up that way, the state's a mess. So regardless, I mean, God bless him, but you know, he's done the best he can. But it's not a governor thing right now. It's not. I mean, the thing that put me over with Trump, even versus Cruz, I mean, as an evangelical, I got some problems with Cruz constantly using the faith to try to garner votes. I think that's pandering on a level that the Lord would not like. I have a real problem with that. I'm sorry, I really do. So I don't need a man who's going to stand there and tell me how much he loves Jesus. That's all well and good. You can't take money from Goldman Sachs. You can't turn around and not. He's so smart, but he's not reporting the loans. He forgot that he's a citizen of Canada. I mean, these are just, I mean, it's disingenuous at best and a lie at the worst. And I can't do that. I need a man, and regardless of whether you like him or not, what you see with Trump is what you get. I mean, I'm in my 40s, and my whole life I've been able to watch this man through tabloids and TV before there was internet and everything. I'm old enough to remember before there was a Google. You know, I mean, he weathers the storm. He comes out on top, and when he speaks to the people, he tells you the way it is. Let me ask you something. When he's doing all this construction work in New York City, who do you think he talks to all the time? Construction workers. He talks to them. He sits there. He knows what they're thinking. He knows what their families are feeling. And I believe it's been that way probably for the better part of 50 out of the 69 years of his life. He knows these people, and he can truly make a deal. I know people don't want to hear that, but somebody has to sit back and say, well, wait a minute. Everything isn't bad on one side or the other, but somebody's got to back and say, wait, we got to manage this thing better. Somebody's got to understand that. You know, national security is a big issue. Immigration is a big issue, massive issue. And nobody else is talking about it like it.
Well, there you have it. Another dyed-in-the-wool Trump support. Now, let me ask you this. If Trump doesn't get the nod, if he doesn't get the nomination for whatever reason, and, you know,
right.
the American voter can be quite fickle. We know that. Not to mention there are other forces that could be at play as well. But if he doesn't get the nod, who's your second choice?
Governor Mike Huckabee, and I'll tell you why. He's the only other person in this race who's not taking dirty PAC money. He's the only other person not taking that filthy PAC money. You can't claim to be independent and across the board you're taking the same dollars that the Democrats and the liberals are taking. When I see all of these donors and I sit there and I go, wow, that's amazing. You mean to tell me 80% of the same people are taking money? I think at least Mike, God bless Governor Huckabee, would be able to say, wait a minute, he too, I'm not beholden to any of these people.
Well, do you think Rand Paul might be beholden to any of them? He sort of walks the same path.
Yeah, but God bless Rand. I mean, I understand. I love the man as a libertarian. I get it. But internationally, you know, you have to be able to address the international problem. You can't, as a country, just sit back and watch the things that are going on with ISIS and watch how the lack of leadership on this country's part created this whole mess in the Middle East. Hillary Clinton, basically, we found out, authored the policy of taking down Libya, getting rid of Muammar Gaddafi, which led to the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood really taking over the entire Arab Spring that they said was so great, happened under her watch. And the world is on fire right now with radical Islam, and nobody wants to talk about that. They sit back, and that's another, you know, when Trump talks about radical Islam, I love Rand, God bless him, but Rand, what are you really going to do? These people want to chop your head off. They don't care if you're gay, they don't care if you're straight, they don't care if you're black, they don't care if you're white. You're an American, you're a Christian, you're not Muslim, and you should die. That's as cut as it gets for me. I was like, wait a minute. Well, I don't want anybody coming. I don't want anybody coming over here chopping my grandchildren's heads off.
Well,
like, come on, man.
Thinks that if he pulls everything back, he parks our aircraft carriers in our Pacific fleet, then everybody will leave us alone because then we'll be good guys again. Kind of going back to the isolationist thought of that led to World War I and then led to World War II. But,
it definitely led to World War I and World War II because they just sat there. Like after World War I, we turned around, we helped defeat the Germans and everything, but we left them sitting there. As we left them sitting there, that rose to Hitler coming up with his nationalist nonsense that he came up with. People don't want to remember, but Hitler got elected. Hitler got elected and didn't turn into a nut until after the election because nobody was listening to what he was saying. We need somebody in the White House like Mr. Trump who's going to sit there and say, wait a minute, what are they saying over there? Didn't I just hear a news report and somebody saying something stupid? What is that they're saying? And we don't do that. We want to just bury our heads in the sand, for lack of a better term, and act like that, everything's it's not okay. It's not, and Trump is right about one thing. If everything was so good, why is he drawing 20, 25,000, 30,000 people at a clip? Why? Because it's not good.
It seems like the two outsiders are drawing the biggest crowds. That would be Trump and Sanders on the other ticket.
Ain't that something? Ain't that something? How the Democrats are having the same revolt that's happening inside the Republican Party, but on two opposite ends. They want to go so far left that they're willing to bring a socialist into the White House. These kids have no idea. I heard Donald Rumsfeld on Fox this morning, God bless him. 83 years old, he said nobody's teaching economics. They're not telling anybody what socialism is, so they're following this guy over a cliff. And it's the truth. I mean, kids can't even get Common Core. Oh, boy. Have you ever tried this Common Core math? I try it with my grandchildren. I asked the teachers, I said, if I can't, and I have a bachelor's degree in finance, if I can't help them with this Common Core math, how can you tell me this is any good? They'll never be able to balance a checkbook even. Like, it's just, but we're not teaching this anymore. We're not teaching what socialism did. We're not telling anybody totalitarianism and socialism and communism. We don't teach that because that's just so far in our past, and it's not in our past. There's a lot of countries right now that are being ruled by these very systems. You can look to Italy. You can look to a lot of Europe. Socialism is destroying them, and the cultural nonsense of this cultural acceptance is destroying them with almost 2 million immigrants coming into their country and coming into their continent. Nobody studies any of this, and I'm beside myself because this whole Muslim migration even has taken over again, and they did this back in the 7th century, and nobody knows that. And you sit there and you go, wow, they're doing it again, but this time they're being invited in. Come on in, take over the continent. We don't teach anybody this, man. We don't teach anybody these things. Sorry to go off on a tangent, but they're willing to take somebody on the left. We're just disgusted over here. And you need somebody on the outside that says, that's enough. That's enough. Let's get back to business and make the country great again. Man, when you say America first, when I was a kid, Ronald Reagan was the best thing ever. My mother loved him. My grandmother. I'm black and white on both. I can't help who my parents are. I'm a half-breed, as we used to say growing up. But, on the black side of my family, they loved Reagan. On the white side of my family, they loved Reagan. And I believe black people and white people and Mexican people and all Hispanics and gays, they're going to like Trump when it's all said and done. They're going to like Trump.
Well, there you go. Another one for the Trump camp. I thank you for your call.
All right, then. God bless you. Be safe. Good luck.
Bye-bye. Hey, people are giving very compelling reasons to support Trump. And, I think one of the issues on the other side, I think he's right. I think that it's going to get to the point where you're going to see people on the right. We're seeing some of that already. Some people talking about that they're Democrats and they're supporting Trump. There are African Americans who are coming out and supporting Trump. And I think when it's all said and done, there are going to be a lot of lefties, if you will, who are going to be like the Reagan Democrats. I think they're going to be transformed and turned into Trump Democrats. Now, again, there are a lot of people that say that Reagan was not a true conservative. And we're hearing the same mantra about Trump. Trump is not a real conservative. Yeah. That may be. However, you can argue that Reagan and Trump are not conservatives, but no way could you possibly ever argue that that Reagan was a moderate. No, well, I take that back. There are people that I know that say that Reagan was a moderate, and I guess it depends. If you're coming from Texas, there are people in Texas that tell me, yeah, Reagan was a moderate. He was a big moderate. He was a moderate down here in Texas. Well, he's moderate. He's a big giant. He got steer horns. If those steer horns were moderates, that'd be Reagan. So I guess it depends on your point of view. But here's something I wanted to touch on before we get to the break. And I mentioned this last Friday about Bernie Sanders, and I wanted to have this. I'm going to just listen to this from Bernie Sanders, and then we're going to go over this detail by detail about why this is so dangerous, wrong, unconstitutional, and bad. By the way, did you hear New York City went full bore communism? Yes, we'll get to that too.
There are two Democratic visions for regulating Wall Street. One says it's okay to take millions from big banks and then tell them what to do. My plan, break up the big banks.
Hold it. Break up the big banks. Who decides how big is too big? What is that cutoff? Who's going to determine that in a free society and in a capitalistic society, who's going to determine, oh, well, that's too big? You're making $1 billion, you're too big. You have all of these people who want to do business with you. And now the government says, well, you can't do business with them because you're too big, because that business is too big. So a lot of people will look at it and say, well, they're breaking up the companies. No, they're preventing you from having choice. Think about it. That if Bank America is doing business in all 50 states, but all of a sudden Bernie Sanders says they're too big. They're too big. So everything is too big. So they break it up. They break it up. So now you can't do business with Bank America because you're not in the state that Bank America is allowed to do business in now, according to Bernie Sanders. So you've lost your choice. You have no choice. Let's continue.
Close the tax loopholes and make them pay their fair share. Then we can expand health care to all and provide universal college education.
Universal college education, expand health care for all. Well, I thought we already had health care for all. I thought we already had it. Didn't they tell us we already had health care? Obamacare. Wasn't that the whole reason for Obamacare? Is for health care for all? Those people who didn't have health care could now get health care? And those people who couldn't afford it were now going to be able to afford it? But now you have Bernie out there telling us that people do not have health care even with Obamacare. So he's going to make the banks and all the big corporations pay their fair share, as if they're not already paying taxes. Oh, wait, as I've said before, business doesn't pay taxes. You, the consumer, pays all the taxes that a business pays. Let's finish this.
Will they like me? No. Will they
No, they
begin
won't
to
like
play
you.
by the rules if I'm president? You bet.
That's the worst part of the entire commercial. Will they play by the rules of our president? The president of the United States doesn't get to make the rules. That's an important issue that people need to discuss with Bernie Sanders. They can't let him get away with this. The president, we don't play by the president's rules. We play by the rules of the Constitution.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom133.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom133.com. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom133.com.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000? Or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company, General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. My fellow liberty lovers all across the globe. It is I, your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is Monday, the start of a week. The start of hour number 2 here on the Rod Eccles Show. The call-in number is 603-835-3224 on this Monday, January the 25th, 2016, which is the year of our Lord of... I always like making sure people understand that this is the year of our... You know, you can say what you want about the time split. You know, I know, what is it now? BCE? And... ACE or something like that, you know, before Common Era and after. What Common Era? What is, you know, this whole notion from historians and scientists trying to remove all manner of God from history is just ridiculous. What Common Era? We're in the Common Era now. It's not before or after the. What common era are they talking about? You know, AD and BC. That's what it was before. Look, geez, I don't care if you're a Christian or not. The very fact is that even look, time got split. No, it's not split in half yet because obviously this half of human history is not yet equal to the previous
half of human history. But make no mistake about it, one man split time. It wasn't Moses. Moses didn't split time. It wasn't Muhammad. Muhammad didn't split time. It was Jesus Christ that split time. That is where it's all based from and off of. So this whole notion that I know you watch the Learning Channel and things like that, and you see this BCE and ACE stuff, and I just whatever. What a bunch of crock. It's before Christ and after Christ, but AD doesn't. I know people say, well, what is AD? AD is Latin, actually, means during the year of, which is why I say this is the year of our Lord 2016. I don't exactly know how to pronounce the AD in Latin. If you're a Latin expert and you know how to pronounce words in that dead language that nobody's actually heard for centuries, then please call up and tell me how to pronounce the full out version of AD, because obviously AD is an abbreviation, an acronym, like BC is for before Christ. AD is just let me know. 603-835-3224. I didn't take Latin in school, so in high school or college. Didn't take it. Yeah, they say that truly educated people always take Latin. Really? Okay. If I wanted to learn the Latin names for, if I was going to go into biology or some sort of the sciences where it was important to be able to distinguish. What's really weird is that when we find new species of plants or animals, they give them a Latin name. I don't. Okay. Nobody speaks Latin, but you're going to give it a Latin name. I could never understand that. Why do you do things like that? Why can't you give it, a regular name that very well distinguishes it from anything else, but also gives you, the basic family or genome, but distinguishes it from within that genome? It's kind of. I'm a martial artist. I've taken martial arts in my life, and it's a lot like that too. Like when you go into an American dojo, you've got to learn the Chinese or Japanese or Taiwanese name for a particular maneuver. And I've always asked, why? Why do I need to speak Japanese or Mandarin or something in order to learn how to do martial arts? And they always say, well, it's out of respect. So if I say karate, that's disrespectful? Because it's not karate, actually. I mean, that's American. It's karate. It's like taekwondo. I mean, we Americanize it because that's our language. So you've got to ask. I mean, I don't. Yeah. Well, stop Americanizing, or why even bother with all these other names that nobody else really knows anything about, just to prove that you're smarter than somebody else? I guess. I don't know. 540, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show. Go.
Yeah, how you doing, Rod? This is Khalil DeBerry here. How you doing?
Good morning. Good.
I'm all right. Yeah, I just wanted to call the show. I wanted to introduce myself to you and just talk about a few things, let some things off my chest.
Go right ahead.
I'm Khalil DeBerry, founder and owner, CEO of Perspicuous Media Corporation. We air your show on our media company website and then on our radio show. So I just wanted to speak to the man finally, and on the phone, and get to talk to you a little bit and everything. Considering the fact that we air your wonderful show on our website daily. Yes. How you doing today?
I am fantastic.
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk to you guys today about it's probably a little bit off topic, but It is a growing, I wouldn't say epidemic, but it's an issue that brews a lot in my situation, being that I am a minority African American. Well, let me not use that word because I hate to use that word. I am a Black American who happens to be conservative, and it is kind of like one of the hardest things to be in America these days, especially when you're dealing with your own kind. It's very, 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 very interesting that we're considered an outcast even in our own community, and people don't actually respect that we have different opinions. It's almost like you cannot think for yourself or think the opposite. And it's a very, very, very interesting story on, how this all occurred and everything. So,
I understand what you're saying, and it does become very difficult to try to stand on your own, because whenever you do, people always, even within my extended family, there is this faction that if you break off into believing that, you're capable of doing things without the man, the government, then somehow you're now an Uncle Tom or you're a sellout. And I'm trying to figure out, I'm the sellout who wishes not to be tagged and ruled by the government. My life is not determined by the government, but those who stay within the system, whose life is thoroughly regulated and ruled by the government, that's okay?
That's correct. And it's a very interesting story on how I became a conservative, if you have time. I grew up in Democratic blue area in Blue District, Newark, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey, for all of those who don't know, Newark, New Jersey is a very high crime area. It is very impoverished. The poverty levels are extremely high, and the unemployment levels are extremely high. If you do further research on this area in Newark, New Jersey, you would understand that they haven't had a Republican mayor or Republicans running the area in 100 years or more, if I'm not mistaken. So when growing up in that area, everybody is Democrat. Everybody votes Democrat. And I remember one time my grandmother, she would send my grandfather out and to go vote. And then I asked her, I said, well, who are you voting for this election, Grandma? There's a lot of things that need to be changed in this city. And I kid you not, the first thing she said was, I don't care who you vote for as long as it's a Democrat. Yeah, and I said, and that's when it struck me that it's probably something is wrong.
You have these people that do that, which is, well, for the African American or Black community, it's really kind of surprising because it doesn't go back that far that the Black community en masse voted Democrat. It's only been since the mid to late 60s. With LBJ and his Great Society and basically buying the votes of blacks back then. That's Correct. When things changed, because before then they were firmly in the hands of Republicans. And it would be very hard for you to convince a black person before 1960 to vote a Democrat. I mean, that would be like shooting yourself in the heart, let alone the foot.
Yes, correct.
And now they've gone to this whole position that's the exact opposite. We've gone to, and this is actually something that is currently happening in the Latino community. Now, blacks at one particular point in time, before civil rights, and I'm not blaming civil rights on it. I'm blaming Democrats actually, and us being bought out by Democrats. But before the civil rights era and LBJ, blacks and black communities were very proud. There weren't slums and ghettos in the black community, not like we have today. Because people took care of themselves. They took pride in themselves. They tried to get the best education that they could possibly get, that they were allowed to get, depending on where they lived. They made sure that they were well off. There were a lot of well-off blacks pre-civil rights.
Correct.
And then for some reason,
they bought into this notion of reparations. Okay, maybe the white man on the Democrat side is finally admitting that they were wrong, so we're going to give them a shot. We're going to give them a chance. And the first thing that they did was start to huddle blacks into what they called projects, which still exist today. They're crime-ridden. They're terrible. They're deplorable housing. Back in the 90s, we saw a lot of them get torn down. I mean, we're talking buildings that were only 20 or 30 years old. They're being totally demolished because they were that bad. And now we're starting to see the same thing happen with Latinos. And some people in the Latino community are recognizing this early. But the Democrats are the ones who are progressing this even faster by not stopping illegal immigration. Now, if you're around here where I live in New England, you can go to different towns, especially in Massachusetts, and you can see if you did not see the people on the street, you would swear that you were in a black community, because we recognize today how bad certain black communities are. But you're not in a black community, you're in a Latino community. They are following the same path that African Americans followed. And it's just Democrats. Massachusetts is a Democrat-run state, and it has been for decades.
That's correct. I think that what it boils down to is a lot of people do not, especially in the black community, when you talk to them, you realize that they are not really aware of how politics work. A lot of people that I encounter, I realize after 5 minutes into the conversation that this person really doesn't understand politics. So I have to kind of like forgive them, for, when they start speaking. They don't realize that the Democratic philosophy or the Democratic ways or ideology destroys those type of communities. It destroys our community. It destroyed Newark. And they don't really understand that. When I was living in Newark, we had problems not only with poverty, we had problems with just the area in general, the overall look and the overall environment. It was totally destroyed. After the riots in the 60s, after Martin Luther King had got assassinated, they haven't fixed that city at all. There's numerous other cities in America that were affected by the riots, but Newark, to this day, they're finally doing something, and this is over, decades ago, and they don't realize that they are living under Democratic rule. I moved from Newark, New Jersey, and I live in a conservative county out in near the Fredericksburg area of Virginia, and it's totally different night and day. Now, what has changed? I have moved from a Democratic district in Newark, and now I move in a Republican district, and it's night and day. There is no trash in the streets. There is the garbage. We have a system where our garbage is picking up, and it's not left out there, so you won't get these New York sides rats or anything running around there. There is, it doesn't look worn down. There isn't graffiti everywhere. Why? Because look who's in control of the city. When we want things done in my area, in my new area now, we get it done because our government works for us. Whereas when I was in Newark, the government is just there, and they're just getting overwhelmed, and they're just getting large, and they just want to cut a paycheck and get a paycheck, and they're doing absolutely nothing. They're getting too big for their britches, and what they're doing is, all they're doing is they're just shuffling paper. They're just shuffling paper. I'll get to it when I get to it. They just want a job. That's one of the reasons why I also believe in smaller government myself, because it's not effective and it's no need at all.
Yeah,
so
big government does not work. The bigger the government gets, the worse it is.
Yeah, it does not work at all. And a lot of people, they really don't understand this concept. So when I talk to people, I kind of have to let them vent a little bit, but they really have no clue what they're talking about. Their systems have failed us, and they don't understand that the conservative and Republican, their ideology actually helps us. It empowers us. I used to tell people that their ways the Republican ways, being conservative, what they teach us is that we are equal to any race in America, and we can do anything that they can do. They teach us empowerment. They teach us that with free will and drive, you can become anything you want. You can open up a shop in the corner. You can open up a mom and pop restaurant. You can do anything you want. What the Democrats do is they pacify us to make us feel like that we need them and that the quote-unquote white man or the quote-unquote system or the quote-unquote the man, which, by the way, to this day, I don't know who this man is, by the way. And I'm still trying to figure out who is this the man. They teach us that we need them because of what happened 170 years ago in slavery, so therefore they are second-class citizens and they need help. They need to be pacified. And I don't understand why we as a culture, as a people, don't get it. It really baffles me. I don't get it. I don't understand. How come we don't understand? How come we didn't pick up on this strategy that LBJ and the good old boys really laid out for them in the early 60s, in the late 60s, rather?
You have to understand human nature, which I believe you do. Human nature, really, in the modern era, is really to go the easy route, if at all possible. And what LBJ did was, on the surface, give African Americans the easy way out or the easy way up. Now, if we look at, television is very reflective of our society. Now, we used to see television, black television programs like The Jeffersons, moving on up. What did George Jefferson do? George Jefferson started a dry cleaner with basically his bare hands. And he built that into a chain of dry cleaners around the New York City area, which allowed him to move up and afford the East Side. So it was hard work that was being promoted on TV. Now, we saw that slowly change to the point where George Jefferson was looked at as a hero and somebody to be looked up to, till the 80s when we get to the Cosby Show, when blacks were starting to say, there are no black families like Cosby. There are no lawyers and doctors in the same black household. Well, why not? Of course there are. Then we get to the 90s and now, and what we have is a bunch of layabout, lazy, thuggish type of... It does. Even when you're looking at some of the reality shows and some of the very successful people out there, what do we get? It's a lot of high drama, a lot of thuggery. It's just absolutely incredible the difference between George Jefferson and who's got some of their reality shows like the Real Wives of New Jersey or something like that. I don't know, of Orange County or whoever. The one with it's just absolutely insane the way blacks are portrayed on TV today versus the way they were portrayed back in the 60s and 70s.
Correct. And I'm glad you mentioned television because before I go, there was an interesting debate on social media. And it pertains to the black community. I don't know if you guys seen this one, but there was a debate going on social media, and it said, which parent, talking about a sitcom father, which parent or father, sitcom father, would best be the better role model for the kids today? And the choices were Uncle Phil from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It was James Evans from Good Times, Carl Winslow from, Family Matters, and it was Dr. Bill Heathcliff Huxtable, Bill Cosby, who played on The Cosby Show. Our people, my people, black people, majority, 98% of them, hands down, said James Evans. So then I had to step back and I said, interesting. Why is that? Their answers to me were, because he's a disciplinarian. He beat his children. His children listened to him. He did not take no mess. And I said, this is the mentality that my people have, to where they think that beating a child and being disciplined, the disciplinarian, it makes you a great person. But they fail to realize that, and I told them the truth, that James Evans stayed in the projects, and he never, ever left. Matter of fact, he died off the show. So he kept his children in an environment where there were gang activity and there was a lot of things going on, and he never, ever got his kids out of the projects. But you're telling me that Uncle Phil, who raised a kid from Philadelphia who was in trouble and brought him over to the good life in Beverly Hills, and he trained him and raised him up so he can graduate high school and eventually go on to college in a great environment with a great role model as a judge. You're trying to tell me that he wouldn't be a good role model to steer these kids in the right direction today? Or how about Carl Winslow? He was a police officer, a respectable job in the same Chicago city as James Evans, correct? And when he raised his family, they didn't get in trouble. They didn't live in the projects, but they from the same city. It's the mentality that we have that we think success is failure, to where a man raising their children in the projects for 20-something years and you haven't progressed, and you think that that glorifies as being great. It's a mentality thing that we have as people, and we need to change that mentality to where we think that ghetto-ness or this are like glorifying this lifestyle of being strict and assertive and aggressive is glorified as being great. And when they did that survey, I really started to understand how my people think and their way and their logic. And we have a long way to go if we're ever going to fix this. So I'm glad you brought up TV, because I found that very, very, very interesting.
Yeah, and you know what? It is not just the African American community or the black community anymore that is falling victim to this democratic demagoguery. It's everyone. We now see it in the predominantly white community. They're starting to get the same attitude. In fact, they call them trailer trash. This trailer trash mentality is just is becoming pervasive, and those are the people that we find that are now continually supporting Democrats, but not just Democrats, socialists like Bernie Sanders. I do have to take a break, but thank you so much for the call, and I'm so glad that I finally got to speak to you one-to-one.
No problem, Rod. Your show was great. Like I said, it's a pleasure having you on our media network station, and we're looking forward to a long, fruitful relationship with us. So be sure to check us out at www.perspicuousmedia.com for any further information, and I'll be hearing from you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks a lot.
And we'll be back.
On January 21st, 9 p.m., controversial international rapper-songwriter Corey Preem will be performing his latest single, Blame It On My Mama, from his latest mixtape, There's Heaven and Then There's Hell. Hip-hop royalty will be in attendance, and a special guest is expected to stop in for a performance. It all happens at the Jerome at 85 Avenue A, New York, New York. Tickets just $15. Say Blame It On My Mama at the door to possibly win a free pair of Samsung Oculus Rift virtual reality glasses. Visit CoreyPreem.com for more information. That's CoreyPreme.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washing washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Start training for a new career in as little as 18 days. National EMS Institute's innovative boot camp program will train you for a new career. Learn to respond to emergency situations and become a certified EMT in just 18 days. National EMS Institute guarantees 100% job placement. Visit www.nationaleMSinstitute.com today to learn more about our 18-day boot camp. Or call us at 1-800-497-6732. NationalEMSInstitute.com.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, FranzBlack.com. F-R-A-N-Z Black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
And we are back. 603-835-3224 is the number to call should you wish to join me here live on the Rod Eccles Show. I mentioned something. This just came up across my newsfeed this morning. Over the weekend, we had this Snowmageddon. By the way, I have learned what the people of New Hampshire are called. We're not New Hampshireers. We're New Hampshireites. Now, I still have the question about people in Massachusetts. Residents, are they Massachusettsans? It just sounds so difficult to say, but the state Massachusetts is not an easy state name to pronounce in the first place. But are they Massachusettsites or are they Massachusettsans? Because it's Connecticutites, right? No, it's Connecticutans or something. I don't know. people who live in Connecticut, people who live in Massachusetts, but I do know that it is now New Hampshireites because the press has said so. Because it's time for New Hampshireites to make their voices heard in the First in the Nation primary coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you live wherever you live, whatever, tell me what it's New Jerseyans, I do believe. It's Floridians. It's New Yorkers. I get Californians and Texans. I get that kind of stuff. But there are some states, that are kind of difficult to, because like Oregon, it's Oregonians, right? It sounds nothing like the state that you're in, but you're called Oregonians as far as I know, unless you guys in Oregon call yourself something else. I don't know. And it's Iowans and it's Washingtonians in the state of Washington, right? It's Washington. I don't. Yeah, if you're from the state of Washington, from the state of Washington, let me know what do they call you out there? I should say, what do you call yourselves? Montanarites, or is it Montanans? That doesn't sound right either. I don't know. In any case, this is from WND News, and it's not getting a lot of fanfare or press out there from the lamestream media. Folks, this is extremely important. But now, if you recall, I lambasted the government in the Boston area after the Boston Marathon bombing. Without really saying it, they basically declared martial law when they were trying to hunt the Tsarnaev brothers down. For a day and a half. They pretty much put the city on lockdown while they were hunting for these two. And I said the problem was that so many people just openly accepted it. Oh yeah. It's for our own good. It's for our own safety. You don't understand that was basically a dry run. I told people back then it was a dry run so they would be able to see how well they'd be able to get away with doing something like this again in the future, and that it would be easier to do in the future for something less severe. Now, arguably, when you're chasing, you don't know how many terrorists that may have been responsible for a deadly bombing in a major public space, at a major public event, you could say that the public generally might be at risk if they're out and about, because they weren't sure how many people there were that they were after. They thought it was. At one point, I do believe I think that they said they were looking for as many as 5 suspects, and then it got narrowed down. I get it. When they're trying to get all this information and try to root it out, see what's good information, bad information, and try to really find these people and hunt them down really quickly, I get the confusion. But these people were armed and dangerous. So there was a public safety issue there. But they didn't really say martial law. But it was basically, that's what it was, because they told everybody to stay at home, stay off the street, and all that kind of stuff. Well, New York City, taking that cue from Boston, the governor of New York State, the governor, not the mayor of New York City, the governor, Andrew Cuomo, decided on his own to declare martial law in New York City because of a snowstorm. I kid you not. Now, I'm sorry, but a snowstorm that dumps a lot of snow on a city does not equate to the same public dangers of having 2 to 5 active terrorists running around your city. It's not the same. It's a level or 2 below. But yet, it rose to the occasion of Democrat Andrew Cuomo deciding that martial law was the best thing for New York City. And not only that, but you got the police chief who's gleefully out there telling people, You know, basically, they sent out a tweet. The NYPD, chief of police, sent out a tweet from the NYPD News. After 2:30 p.m. and you're on the road, we will arrest you. For what? For being on the road after 2:30 p.m. in the middle of daylight? Broad daylight, afternoon. No, I get it. It was in, thankfully it was a week. What would you do during the week? When everybody's got to come into work, are you going to shut down an entire city, basically the economic hub of the United States and the Western world is New York City? You're going to shut it down over snow? You're going to arrest all the business people and all the mom and pop shop owners out there just trying to get to their jobs, get to work, to make a living? Evidently, they would have. But this snowmageddon happened over the weekend, so I guess they kind of dodged it, for lack of a better word. They dodged a bullet on that one. But can you believe this? They are actually stating that they're going to arrest people in the United States of America. In America's largest city, the economic hub of the Western world, they're going to arrest people for being on the street. It's run by Democrats, folks. Evidently, Andrew Cuomo is taking Bernie Sanders to heart. You're going to play by the governor's rules. Not the state constitution and not the federal constitution, but by the governor's rules. If that wasn't enough for the NYPD police chief to say, after 2:30 p.m. and you're on the road, we will arrest you, he then doubled down by saying, trying to soften the blow a little bit by saying, stay off the road. We don't want to have to arrest you. Really? Really? You don't want to arrest me, but you're going to if I'm out on the road. You're going to ask me why I'm out on the road? What about people who are trying to get home from work after 2:30? What about people who... Are you saying that people can't go to work? What if they have a non-first responder job, but it's very important? Because the only people that could be on the road are emergency vehicles, so they said. Well, what about doctors? What about military people? What about people who are not classified as first responders or in emergency vehicles, but they have very important jobs? What about the waterworks department? They can't go to work? They're going to get arrested if they're on the road? For snow? Well, look, I understand that they got a lot of snow. I understand that there are logistical nightmares in big inner cities in trying to clear the snow. I get it. Look, we've dealt with these things before in the past without locking a city down. They act like this is the first time they've ever got a snowmageddon event in a major city. It's not. Boston gets it all the time. And they don't declare martial law in Boston. Look, we had a record snow events, multiple events in Boston last year. There was no martial law. Hey, Bostonians, this, because of what New York City did, and because you were so compliant with the Tsarnaev chase, I would not be surprised if the next major snow event that was not even close to any of the major snow events from last season, that Boston will also declare martial law. And of course, what happens is you're going to get arrested. I don't know what the charge is going to be, but you're going to have to go to court.
The courts are going to back the police department and the governor. You're going to be fined. And, of course, the government's coffers are going to be fattened while your wallet is drained. So that's what it leads to. You're not going to... Are they really going to throw you in jail for being out in a snowstorm? I don't think that they would be able to get away with that yet. If we keep going down the road that we're going, that may be the case in some point in the near future, not distant future. But today, this year, I don't think people are going to be going to jail over being out in a snowstorm. So, in order to punish you, there's only two ways to punish you. Send you to jail and or fine you. Make you cough up money to the state or the city. So they're not going to want to spend money by locking up more people, so they're just going to send you home with a hefty fine. You know, $200, $300, $500, whatever they decide. Well, that's what's going to, and then it's just going to go into the general fund of the city and state, where they get to spend it and spend it on other ways of reducing your liberty and freedom. So New York City has emphasized the need for safety, and they sent out additional tweets on Saturday. For your safety and ours, roads are closed in New York City except for emergency vehicles. Another tweet said, we are asking people to make good common sense decisions. Use your head. Another tweet said, last year no one got arrested. People made the right decisions. We're looking for that again today because we're going to arrest you. Now, the reaction on Twitter to this fascist statement, and let's face it, that's what it is. There is no real martial law emergency in New York City. There isn't. There wasn't over the weekend. There just wasn't. There isn't. It never should have happened. But people, citizens of New York City and the surrounding areas' reaction to this fascist action. Here's one. Here's a tweet. Threatens arrest citizens for being on the streets one day due to snow, but illegals are free to roam the other 364 days. Oh, yeah. New York. I do believe that de Blasio has said that New York City is is in some form or another a sanctuary city. So you're an illegal. You're breaking the law that is arrestable. You're an arrestable offense if you're out roaming the streets over the weekend during Snowmageddon. But you're an illegal, not even a citizen, you're an illegal immigrant, an illegal alien roaming the streets of New York City, and you get to stay there. Makes a lot of sense, does it not? I don't look. I don't know. Do you think Donald Trump would have, if Donald Trump were the mayor of New York or the governor of New York State, do you think he would have instituted a state of emergency? I wouldn't think so. I don't think Ted Cruz would have done it either. In fact, I don't think any of, maybe Jeb Bush, but I don't think really any of the current Republican candidates would have thought of doing that. To be honest, no, I don't even think Jeb Bush would have gone that route. It's unnecessary. 90% of the population would have voluntarily stayed off the roads and stayed in, and they would have hunkered down and just had themselves a snow day. But the people who did venture out, they were brave enough or needed to, they wouldn't have been under threat of arrest. And New York would have still gotten their streets cleared. I don't.
This kind of stuff really does infuriate me. Because it's dangerous. It's dangerous that we let these people do this to us. And Frank, that's what we're doing. We're letting them do it. And you're probably sitting there thinking, well, I'm not letting them do anything. I don't really. Of all those people who were tweeting against and making fun of and very angry about the decision to place New York City under martial law, I wonder how many of them voted for Cuomo and de Blasio. Because it's New York, I bet you at least half of them did. So you're going to complain about your government's decisions that affect you directly, but you're the one who voted for the people who are making those decisions. Can I say that if you think that you're not going to get the same, this is the real problem. Not only did you vote for them once, but you probably voted for them multiple times, which is why they've been reelected over and over and over again. You got Democrats today who are complaining about Obama. But wait, you reelected him. Okay, I get the first time people got, they got snowed. They got, yeah, I said it. They got snowed. They got bamboozled. They got hoodwinked, swindled. The first time. God, I can see how people, they saw, oh my goodness, the first African American, the first black, first half black, African president in our country. We've moved so far. We're no longer a racist nation that we're being able to even have the choice to vote for this man. And he's so wonderful and he's handsome and he's eloquent and he's clean, Joe Biden's words. And he's magnificent, and he's going to do so much for our country. It's going to be so great. It's going to be utopia. I get how people were taken in. I get it. I really do. But what I don't understand is how they voted for him a second time. And now they're complaining. What? How? Who? Can I rap on people's heads? If you complain about Obama, and you're a Democrat, or you're a moderate or an independent, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go, hello, McFly. Did you vote for this guy? Not once, but twice? Now, there were some people that smartened up after they voted for him the first time. They realized, oh, geez, that was a mistake. And they didn't vote for him the second time. But enough of you did to give him the win. And now you want to complain? Yeah, no. You can't complain when you vote for somebody more than once. Now, you can complain if you voted for them the first time and they turned out to be something that you didn't quite expect. Granted, we've all done that. We've listened to the rhetoric, we've listened to the promises, this person, they said this and this, and we believe them enough to pull the lever for them and vote for them. But when they disappointed us tremendously that first time in office or that first election or that first term in office, then you know what? You go to the polls and you fire them. But instead of firing these people, what Americans tend to do is reelect them. And then they go on to complain about how bad things are in the government. Well, hello, you keep electing the same damn criminals and idiots that you're complaining about right now. So, look, I'm going to start taking people to task because you need to understand and you need to be called out. If you voted for them one time, the first time, Understood, we've all made mistakes. Nobody's perfect. We're all human. American voters human. We get hoodwinked from time to time. I get it. You know, I can't really say I've ever voted for the wrong person, but you know what? I have. But I didn't vote for Obama. Not even once, let alone twice. I wouldn't have voted for Andrew Cuomo. I wouldn't have voted for de Blasio. But hey, you people in New York, you did. So now you have to live with the consequences. You can't complain about it. You wanted this. You were very clear in your votes and your vote counts that you wanted this type of stuff. And now you want to complain. Well, you know, New York City, you people are no different from the rest of the nation. Everybody said they wanted this free stuff and that free stuff and this free stuff. And then they found out it was going to be expensive and the free version was costly and they didn't get the same benefits they thought they were going to get. And instead of saying, okay, we didn't get what you promised, let's go a different direction. No. You reelected those people and said, well, you know, maybe you can fix it. The people who broke it are not going to fix it.
Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Sign him up for the Box of Bait Club and he'll never be hungry again. The Box of Bait Club is a brand new dream come true for every fisherman. Something new and different in your tackle box every month. Every month, another excuse to get outside and do what you love. Don't let this one get away. The Box of Bait Club is currently accepting a limited number of pre-orders with subscriptions starting at $39.95 per month. Find out more now. Log on to boxofbaitclub.com.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom133.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom133.com. Go to freedom133.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom133.com.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000? Or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company, General Steel.
800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. 800-393-5756. That's 800-393-5756.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. 800-989-1694. Again, 800-989-1694.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Good morning, my fellow Americans and fellow freedom lovers all across the globe, as well as you wonderful ecclesiastites. Welcome back. Welcome to hour number 3 here on the Rod Eccles Show, the fastest 3 hours on Internet Talk Radio, right here, powered by Zinc Media and Spreaker, heard over multiple network platforms all across this wonderful globe of ours. Yes, we are international, even though the flavor here is strictly concentrated on, well, 98% has to do with the United States of America, either directly or indirectly. Notice I don't talk a lot about our neighbors to the north, Canada, because there isn't a lot going on up there. Canada is an absolutely gorgeous country. The people are absolutely fantastic and wonderful. But, you know, and it's not a bad thing, but y'all just boring up there. You guys are just boring. And that's a good thing. I mean, there's not much scandal that happens up in Canada. There's not a lot of, well, I mean, there's only 35 million of you, so you guys are kind of rare as well as far as the population of the world is concerned. You guys do a fairly good job up there in Canada. I mean, you got some socialistic stuff going on that's probably you'd be better off without, but our brothers to the north, they ain't so bad. They're good. They're good people. They're good eggs. Love my Canadian brothers and sisters. And no, I'm not Canadian. It has nothing to do with Cruz being a Canuck. Trust me, it doesn't. Anyway, as we move on into our number 3 here, as I continually broadcast from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. The call-in number again for this hour is 603-835-3224. So give a dial, give a call. If you're out there and you support a candidate like other than Trump, because I've heard a lot from Trump supporters. Nothing wrong with that. I still, if you're a Trump supporter, you still feel free to give a call in. Call in about any of the topics that we've talked about so far. Call in to talk about a candidate other than Trump. Don't be afraid. We're all of you. We're told that all these other candidates have all of this support. Cruz has got, he's right behind Trump, and Rubio is barking up the tree right in third place, depending on the poll that you're listening to, or it's Kasich. Here in New Hampshire, especially, it's Kasich is number 3 or 2, and of course, all the others. Well, if there's that much support out there, because obviously Trump doesn't have all of the support from the Republican base. Well, he's depending on the poll, he's got from anywhere from 26 to 36%. So that's not everybody. It's not 100%, not even close. So where are the rest of all you supporters out there? Or are we being sold a bill of goods, and there really are not that many supporters of the other candidates, and that even more people than we're being told actually support Trump? I don't know. I'm just going by my own personal experience, and got to tell you, I'm not hearing. It doesn't matter where I am. It could be call in on this program. It could be in response to any of my social media accounts. It even play other places. I just don't see or hear the support for the other candidates like I do for Trump. You can read into it what you want, read into it what you don't want. I'm just telling you from my perspective, that is, and my eyes and ears are constantly open. But this is what I'm hearing and seeing. So if you guys are out there supporting another person other than Trump, you better start beating the drums about your candidate, because they're about to get, thwacked, because it's coming down to the wire now. And once the Trump train gets rolling and starts winning primaries and caucuses, yes, I mispronounced that on purpose, then it's too bad for your candidate. Really. Breitbart.com is reporting that there is a rumor. I don't know if it's a rumor or not, but evidently the FBI is going to recommend prosecution for Hillary. I don't think they really have any other choice but to recommend that. Again, I am only going to believe it when I see her standing before a judge and her giving her ubiquitous answer, we know what it's going to be, to all the counts, not guilty, not guilty. What difference does it make at this point if I'm not guilty? So that's when I believe that they're actually going to attempt to do something. Whether they actually put the full force and weight of the government behind their prosecution of Hillary, at this point is irrelevant. The whole point is that it's got to get to that point to begin with. They may recommend it, and I fully believe that the FBI will send a recommendation for an indictment in a prosecution, but that it will not be heeded. It will not be heard. The McLaughlin group asked this. He said, forced prediction for the panel. The FBI will recommend that Hillary Clinton face prosecution for mishandling classified information. That's the FBI, yes or no? And of course, they went down the channel and, they said, well, yes, I'm going to say yes, but she won't be indicted. I agree. McLaughlin said, I agree with you. Others said no. On the panel, on the group, said they don't believe that the FBI is going to recommend it. I believe that they will, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So recommending it and actually following through on the recommendation are two different things. If you're going to recommend it, that's one thing. But to actually follow through on it is another thing. And, I think that, see, when you're talking about Washingtonians inside the Beltway, it's such a point that things cannot happen the way we, the people, like things to happen, because everybody knows where everybody else's bodies are buried, figuratively and literally. Now, I have often said that the Barack Obama body count does not equal anywhere near the Clinton body count. That is not to say that the Obamas do not have their own body count, either directly or indirectly. Now, we know the Clintons have quite a long body count, and you could say that some of those bodies are directly related to the Clintons, and many of them are indirectly related to the Clintons. But I think the problem is I know you hear people say, well, Hillary's got Barack's birth certificate. Well, here's why that's not the case. Because, and look, I know there are people out there that are saying that Barack is not eligible, but somehow some of them are finding that Cruz is eligible. Well, it's the exact same scenario. Now, as I've mentioned before, not all conservatives and Republicans fell for that stupid notion that Barack is not eligible to be president. As a matter of fact, Mark Levin was one of the early naysayers that pointed out why Barack would still be qualified even if he was born in Kenya. And this is the exact same argument that Ted Cruz is using and his camp is using right now, even though he was born, we know he was born in Canada. So, just saying that we can't have it both ways. Can't have. Now, he's Barack and Ted were born to mothers who were natural born citizens. Ted's mom was born here. Barack's mom was born here. I mean, whether you agree with their individual politics or not is irrelevant. Both mothers were born here. Both mothers were married or paired up to a man, who was not a citizen, who was not born here and was not a citizen. So, we've got this similarity, but their beliefs are so totally opposite. I mean, you got Barack Obama, who's nothing more than a communist in socialist clothing,
and you've got Ted Cruz, really, who's who's probably very much a libertarian in Republican conservative clothing. Just saying. Neither of them, Ted or Barack, are actually anything like they appeared to be. I think they're both good or bad. I think they're both worse than they appear. Now, for Cruz, maybe that worse means he's more libertarian than conservative. For Barack, we know that he was more communistic and socialistic than he first appeared. You know, he appeared to be this in-between, this moderate who was going to be, you know, this wonderful uniter and transformer, and he was anything but that. So maybe Cruz is going, you know, is not exactly who he appears. And I've often said this about Cruz. Cruz says the right things. As far as the Constitution is concerned, he says the right things. He really does. But it's the way that he says them that turns off a lot of people. Ted Cruz has got this very coached and rehearsed way of speaking. I mean, people have made fun of politicians the way Ted Cruz currently speaks. I mean, maybe it is natural, maybe it's rehearsed, but this is the way it comes off to a lot of people. It doesn't come off as genuine. And this is part of the problem that he's always had. You know, he'll speak something like, you know, I'm for America first. Well, that is a trained politician. A non-politician like Donald Trump, for instance, says, I'm for America first. That's it. There's nothing, there's no movie style, no dramatic style to it. I'm for America first. That's Cruz. That's what a lot of people have an issue with, whether you support him or not. I'm not saying that I don't support him. I'm not saying that I do support him. I'm telling you the issues that they have with the man. This is what I'm hearing. You know, Trump has got his own issues with people who don't like him. You know, all the candidates do. But I'm telling you one of the reasons why they don't like Cruz. Because it's almost as if they're looking at the opposite of Obama. And people are saying, even on the Republican side, we've gotten fooled with Obama. We don't want to be fooled by a Cruz. Just saying. I mean, look, people were highly disappointed to learn more about Marco Rubio. There are a lot of people that are disappointed in him. I mean, they thought at first, yeah, maybe Rubio is the answer. I mean, well, 2-3 years ago, everybody was talking about Rubio, the possibility of Rubio. Rubio this, Rubio's the Latino god and all that. And now all of a sudden, people have found more about his record, more of what he talked about, more of what he believed, listened to more of what he said, and they're very disappointed. You know, you can say, well, they shouldn't be, Rod. They should. Well, I'm just telling you what people are saying. Look, you had people that all of a sudden supported Carson. But as we got more and more into it, people found out more and more about Carson, and they were disappointed in him. I'm not saying anything that people don't already know or aren't already expressing. First of all, basically what I'm saying is there is no perfect candidate. There isn't one. Second, they all have their own baggage. They all have their own disqualifiers for the office. They all have their own, whatever it is, their own leanings that people don't like. All the candidates have. Well, obviously the Democrats do too, or else there wouldn't be such a split between Hillary and Sanders. So that's why I'm saying you people out there who support these other candidates, look,
if you really do support your candidate, if you really believe that your candidate of choice is the guy or gal, who's the perfect person for this job right now, then you got to speak up, because there is a lot being said that is negative about all of the candidates. And the only candidate that I have seen, both here on this show, on other shows, and in other places, really is Trump. Sure, there have been some people who've been out there trying to support Cruz. He's the only other candidate that has had any modicum of verbal support from the masses. Otherwise, it's Trump. I don't hear or read or see anything hardly about any of the other candidates. So frankly, if you support any of the other candidates, if your guy or gal is not being noticed or noted, it's your fault, because you're silent. A silent candidate never wins. Never, ever, ever. Speaking of candidate, we got Bloomberg out there who's considering a third party run. I know. That would be like de Blasio running for the third. Well, actually, if de Blasio got in, he might give Bernie Sanders a run for his money. But New York Times, Bloomberg, sensing an opening, revisits a potential White House run. I don't know who would be worse for America, Bloomberg or de Blasio, or Bloomberg or Sanders. I mean, they're both cut from the same cloth. Just one is called himself a Republican. So I guess Bloomberg would probably be worse, because we know Sanders is not shying away from. He's an admitted socialist. Yeah, I'm a socialist. He says it. Bloomberg, on the other hand, is trying to still be this stealthy type of socialist. But Bloomberg has instructed advisors to draw up plans for a potential independent campaign in this year's potential presidential race. His advisors and associates said he was galled by Donald Trump's dominance of the Republican field and troubled by Hillary Clinton's stumbles and the rise of Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont on the Democratic side. Why would Bloomberg be troubled by the rise of Bernie Sanders? He thinks just like you do. I mean, I would even argue that probably on a lot of issues, you and Bloomberg and Sanders would agree on the minute details of how to achieve socialism in this country. Sure, you're going to disagree about some things, because no two people I know of have ever agreed 100% about 100% of everything. But I think for the most part, those two guys are in sync. I have no idea why Bloomberg. Well, maybe it's the gun issue, because Bernie's kind of blasé about gun control. Well, he comes from Vermont. Vermont is really an anti-gun control kind of state. And Bloomberg is all about gun confiscation, not gun control. He's all about gun confiscation. Trust me on that one. Maybe that's the big thing that Bloomberg doesn't like about Sanders. But other than that, hey, Bloomberg is all behind universal college education. Bloomberg is all behind universal health care and expanding Medicare and Medicaid. That's all Sanders stuff. The only difference is that Bloomberg might be beholden and like Wall Street more than Sanders does. Sanders, for whatever reason, hates capitalism and he hates Wall Street. I don't think Bloomberg hates Wall Street. Well, hell, he's part of it. Maybe that's the whole notion. He doesn't want to break up the banks. Bloomberg doesn't, but Sanders does. Bloomberg just probably wants to regulate them even more. Well, so does Bernie, but they want to regulate in a different way, I suppose. I just find it interesting that now Bloomberg is, he's appalled by the dominance of a Donald Trump in the White House, or the Republican Party heading for the White House. He's appalled. I don't know why anybody would be appalled by that, but okay. If they want to be. Makes no sense to me. They're both pretty much the same. They're both pretty much the same. So if you want to believe that, Sanders might be, well, there's your choice, I guess. There's going to be your choice. You're going to have a choice between Sanders and Bloomberg if Bloomberg decides to get in. Which is good for the Republicans. That means that, if Sanders is the nominee, Bloomberg jumps in the race. That means that for the first time in a very, very, very long time, the Democratic vote is going to be split instead of the Republican vote. Remember the last time Bush Sr. and Ross Perot gave rise in the election to Clinton because Perot split the vote of the Republicans? Well, this time it's going to be the other way around. So if Sanders is the eventual nominee of the Democrats, I welcome a Bloomberg. I welcome a Bloomberg presidential run and campaign. For all the callers who just called in, do me a favor, either hold on the line, and we'll get to you as soon as we get back from the break, because we do have to take a break right now. And folks, we'll be right back.
On January 21st, 9 p.m., controversial international rapper-songwriter Corey Preem will be performing his latest single, Blame It On My Mama, from his latest mixtape, There's Heaven and Then There's Hell. Hip-hop royalty will be in attendance, and a special guest is expected to stop in for a performance. It all happens at the Drome at 85 Avenue A, New York, New York. Tickets just $15. Say Blame It On My Mama at the door to possibly win a free pair of Samsung Oculus Rift virtual reality glasses. Visit CoreyPreem.com for more information. That's CoreyPreme.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-616-8010. That's 1-800-616-8010. Again, 1-800-616-8010. Call now.
Did you ever look at the stains in your coffee cup and then realize that's exactly what happens to your teeth? Power Swabs is the 5-minute solution to get your teeth white without visiting the dentist. This is Ben Gordon with Power Swabs, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, all it takes is 5 minutes with Power Swabs. In 5 minutes, you'll see an average of 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. It's clinically proven to whiten natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. The secret is a tooth detergent that was developed by Dr. Martin Ginniger that lifts stains off of your teeth. Best of all, there's no messy strips or trays that you have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes and you're done. To try Power Swabs risk-free, call 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140. I guarantee your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free today. 1-800-291-5140. That's 1-800-291-5140.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
Start training for a new career in as little as 18 days. National EMS Institute's innovative boot camp program will train you for a new career. Learn to respond to emergency situations and become a certified EMT in just 18 days. National EMS Institute guarantees 100% job placement. Visit www.nationaleMSinstitute.com today to learn more about our 18-day boot camp. Or call us at 1-800-497-6732. National EMS Institute.com.
When you're ready to take the edge off a hectic day, I suggest you start with a little music from Franz Black.
I guess there's lots of ways to look at things that don't seem right.
No Worries has just been released on iTunes and Amazon.
It's gonna be alright.
You can find Franz Black and his music on his website, friendsblack.com. Franz Black.com.
It's gonna be alright.
And let's go to the phones. The phones here on the Rod Eccles Show. Of course, you can still join us. 603-835-3224. 336, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show. Go.
Rod, good morning, man. What's going on this morning?
Good morning.
I'm just calling in to give our man Trump a shout out this morning. And I just want to thank this morning. I just want to put out a big thank you to Glenn Beck and National Review for going ahead and giving this train the fuel it needs to get on from one end of this country to the next, man. I think they have just really stuck their foot in it this time. And anytime you see a bunch of folks ganged up and working in coordination like this, it shows me how strong that our guy is and how he is going to take this thing home.
You know, I don't speak negatively of other talk show hosts on this program, but I got to tell you something. Beck is just, I don't know what has happened to that man. I have no, maybe he's got a mental disorder similar to Alzheimer's or something. That is, a brain degenerative disease, or because this is, I don't know how for the life of me you can call yourself a conservative or, in his case, a libertarian. A libertarian.
Okay.
Who says that he would support Sanders over a Trump. Well, Trump is nowhere near being a communist or a socialist like Sanders is. That is the opposite of a libertarian.
Okay, I can remember watching Beck back when he was on Fox, back a while ago, years. But I can remember him, with the chalkboard and laying out how, Obama was going to destroy things and stuff like that. And I mean, he was laying it out pretty good at the time, but he has went off the edge. And a lot of folks have, and I think a big part of it, Rod, is jealousy. They see these guys doing great and pulling in the numbers, and it's just, to me, it's just a jealousy thing, and it's a shame. It's a shame because they end up, and you're doing what I think is great. You're staying neutral on this stuff as a radio host, and I appreciate that and I applaud that. But when you're a radio host or you're a TV pundit, commentator, whatever, and you go ahead and commit and you support candidate and you start throwing out jabs to other candidates, you're doing the public a disservice, and you're not doing your job. You're not staying neutral like you should. Now, I mean, when it gets on into the election and folks want to endorse somebody, I think that's great. But if you have to knock other candidates, and I'm going to tell you right now, I want to get off the subject just a little bit and talk and put Cruz in this situation. Where is he going to get enough general election votes to beat Hillary or Bernie or whoever comes out against Trump? I don't think he has a chance. And I'll tell you something else, that the female vote, the ladies out there, especially the ladies that are supporting Trump right now, I'm seeing terrible attacks against these ladies. But I tell you what, they're stronger than anybody. I would take a Trump supporter over anybody in this world as far as strength. And this is not going to be like the Romney Obama campaign. These ladies are ready to go. They're ready to put that vote out there. They're ready to caucus. They cheerlead. The men cheerlead for Trump. And I think we've got this thing, and we're going to keep fighting until he's in the Oval Office. And Cruz, there's so many questions over Cruz's head. I saw the little film that he made back when he was in high school or early college. Trump is accused of being, not conservative enough. I mean, show me who is the leader of defining conservatism. To me right now, Trump is leading that battle because for the past 8 years, we've got a big nothing sandwich. We've had 2 pieces of bread with nothing to go in between, and I think everybody's tired of it. I'm ready. I'm snow this morning, and I'm having a big time because I'm on the Trump train, and we're going to blast through this snow, and we're going to win this thing, brother.
There's a story in the American Mirror, theamericanmirror.com, and they're pointing out something that I've already been pointing out, that there is a female component to this Trump support, and because you've heard the left and the moderates talk about that Trump hates women. He's fomenting the war on women, and he's just like Bill Clinton, which Trump is not. But and he has trophy wives all the time. Well, you can say what you want to say about Melania, but I got to tell you, she's a much more gracious and graceful lady, and will make an awesome first lady. Even though she's not American-born, she still would make an awesome first lady, much better than Hillary Clinton ever could have been. But what we have here is in the American Mirror is they're talking about how women, and African American women in particular, not just Diamond and Silk, but a bunch of African American women are turning on to the getting on the Trump train. Try to say that 3 times fast.
Well, I look at it this way. I remember the grace that which I don't remember, a little bit young at the time, but I remember the grace of Jacqueline Kennedy, and I'm a Republican, but John F. Kennedy and Donald Trump, that blend of I could blend Trump, Reagan, and Kennedy right now. There's different aspects of him that, and grant me, Trump's not perfect. Only one person has ever been perfect on this earth, and we know who that is. And Trump don't walk on water, but I guarantee you one thing: Trump creates jobs, he creates opportunities, and he's just not saying, okay, I'm going to create jobs for the poor black minority or the poor Hispanic minority or poor Caucasians. He's saying, I'm creating jobs for everybody. This includes women. It includes all sexes. I just think he's the guy for the job. And as far as the first lady goes, it's about time we got someone in there that's not trying to control the lunch programs in elementary schools. I mean, stop reaching for things that don't need to be picked. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of going off on a different direction.
Well,
but
basically women are saying, especially, and it's not just women, there are African American men too, are saying that Trump is he's really offering some real hope and change that Barack promised. I should say he's offering positive hope and change. Barack Obama offered hope and change, but as we have learned since, it's not very positive change. So Trump is offering the positive side by, because he is a job creator. This guy, he's very different from your typical multimillionaire, billionaire type of person in that he is a blue collar type of, he's a lot like a Mark Cuban. Now I got to, let me give you a little aside about Mark. When I first started following Mark Cuban, I didn't like him. I did not like his personality. But I got to and I'm going to say it, by watching Shark Tank, it taught me that I needed to find out more about this guy. So I started reading about him. I started listening to his interviews. I started paying more attention to what he was saying, how he was saying it. And it turns out I really like him. Because he's very down to earth and he's very blue collar-esque when it comes to his billions. He's not stupid with his money. And let's face it, they're trying to teach regular, average, everyday middle class people not to be stupid with their money, not to be stupid with their job. They're out there trying to create these jobs, decent paying jobs for these people to have, for middle class Americans to have. And make no mistake about it, they want Americans and legal citizens. Legal immigrants to have these jobs.
Well, if you look right now, what's been going on the past 7 years, Obama, hope and change, right, but not hope and change for your average American. It's been hope and change for illegal immigrants coming in illegally. It's been hope and change for, not all Muslims are bad, but it's been hope and change for Muslims to be able to take advantage of us. I mean, if you look at the Iran stuff, I mean, who in Congress, who in the Capitol has really, really put up that strong effort to not let this Iran deal go through? So it's $150 billion in access to missiles regardless, and the uranium they're not using, they're shipping to Russia. So what's Russia going to do if they get the attitude toward us? They're going to ship them right back down to Iran. Are we that damn stupid? I'm sorry, we're not. We need a commander-in-chief that has some grit, that has again, I hate to reference Reagan because it's a whole different time we live in now. And the millenniums, I want the millenniums to be educated on what's really going on in this world and not this pipe dream.
You can reference Reagan simply because, maybe the times are a little bit different, but the principles are still exactly the same. The principles that Reagan governed by are this, and his ideas were based on are the same principles that I believe Trump has.
Okay, let me explain why I don't like to reference Reagan as much as a lot of people probably do, is because the young people coming out of college today, a lot of it has been a liberal training in college. It's not a lot of kids nowadays probably haven't heard enough about Reagan to even know who he is. So I want to take Trump as an example, and I want the younger folks to really dig down deep and take, for instance, I want the young folks to see the damage that socialism has caused in other countries. I mean, let's just first take Greek for an example. I mean, if you look at Greek today, I mean, these countries like that are falling apart. Look at Cuba. I mean, but kids have a different the younger ones, I'm talking about college kids, they have a different theory about things now. That's why Bernie Sanders is doing good. They're not educated in the manner of Republican and Democrat. They're educated in the theory of socialism now. Not everyone, I'm not saying every young person, and, you know, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I see a trend, and I want Trump to break that trend. I want him to be able to be defined as a job creator, an entrepreneur for all these young kids growing up. I mean, how many jobs has Bernie Sanders created? How many jobs has Hillary Clinton really created, fair and square? How many jobs has Cruz created? Rubio. Let me go down the list. Look at Trump. Look at what he's created. Look at what he's done. Okay, there's a blueprint for success. And as a country, we need to use that, and we need to teach our young folks, our children, we need to teach them what work is all about and what a real entrepreneur is, and not somebody that is going to sit home with the remote control and act like they're living a real life, and they're not. I digress, Rod.
No, that is, you know, you bring up a good point about the millennials, the college-age students, because they have been taught this revisionist history about the. If you talk to a person who's now just in college, I mean, you know, you're 20 years old or younger, they don't know anything about the 80s. They didn't live in the 80s. But what they tell you when you ask them about what the 80s were like as far as economic conditions, they'll repeat something to you that those of us who are alive know is an absolute all-and-out lie. They think the 80s economically were terrible.
Right.
They think it was capitalism run amok, and it was terrible. I listen to this stuff. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But this is the educational state of our country right now. The revisionist history that is bringing nothing but and it's doing a disservice not only to these students but to our nation's future. It really is going to come back to bite us all, not just those of us who know better, but it's going to come back to bite the liberals. I think the liberals are already starting to experience some of that bite back with these kids on college campuses, their safe spaces, and they're demanding the resignation from these liberal college presidents and chancellors. They never saw that coming.
No, that's the truth. And I tell you something, that the more we can educate our young folks about the real economy, the real thing, the real way things are going in this country, and how we need to get it back on track, and how we need to and that's one thing I love about Trump. I think that his entertainment abilities are great, and so were Reagan's. Let's go ahead and say that. So were Reagan's. So let's don't put him over in the corner and say, hey, this guy's just an entertainer. He was a damn good businessman before he even thought about entertaining. So let's get that straight. I don't know. I'm on the Trump train, Rod. I can't help it, man. I'm looking out the side, and I'm watching the rest of these folks get passed up by this train, and it just pleases me to death. And thank God for your show. This is a breath of fresh air for folks like me. It's a breath of fresh air to come on here. I used to be nervous about it. I'm not nervous now. I'm nervous for the country more than I am talking about Trump and talking about these issues. I'm psyched about it. I'm excited about it. I know these folks are going to get out and caucus for Trump. I see it that the amount of Democrats that are switching over to Trump is unbelievable to me. I've heard call-ins to your show. I've heard call-ins to C-SPAN after a Trump speech, and that really pleases me. And if folks don't like Democrats coming over to the Republican Party, they need to move to Brazil. That's all I got. We're one country. We're one country, and we need to stick together. And it's time for Trump. It's time for the right issues to be on the table. And I just can't wait, brother. Can't wait.
It is. This is an interesting political season. I will say that. This is definitely not a dull one. It's not a boring one. It's not a predictable one.
I think last time around, everybody kind of knew it was Romney's turn, so they were going to, no matter what we did, no matter what we said as far as the voting block was concerned, it was going to be Romney, and we weren't disappointed in that outcome. It was Romney, although, we were disappointed that it was Romney because many of us wanted somebody else. But we got Romney. We knew we were going to get it. This time, we're not sure. And I think there's a lot of people who are very positive about the outside man in Trump being able to run away with this. That is kind of exciting.
Well, and one thing about it, the rest of these candidates to me are like watching the grass grow at the top of a chia pet. And watching Trump's like watching somebody on a jet ski jump about 3 different rings of fire. I know that's an exaggeration, but I don't care.
Trump is the Fonz.
Yeah, jump the shark, jump whatever's out there. But I do think he's got the momentum. I think the momentum is so strong now. I think a lot of these folks are going to be biting their lips and sweating, but I think in the long run he's going to get the nomination, and I'm very, very proud of him. I'm proud of his family. Like I say, I'm so proud of things like the Rod Eccles Show, and what a great way to get your message out there and support whoever you are voting for or whoever you have in mind. What a great opportunity for all of us. And again, I thank you so much, Rod. Your show's great, man. You just rock it. You rock it all the time.
Thank you very much. Highly appreciate it. Call back anytime, my friend.
Thank you, brother. We'll do it.
Bye-bye. Well, another person. One of the things about this whole campaign is that the so-called outsiders have made inroads like never before in my lifetime. Now, there are a lot of people that would consider Cruz to be an outsider. And, you could arguably say that they're right about that. How often do you have somebody who is in the inner circle that actually calls the inner circle leader a liar in public, which is what Cruz said of McConnell. But even on the other side, the heir apparent Hillary Clinton is not walking away with that nomination over the Democrats. She is having fits with Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders is considered and construed as being an outsider, and rightfully so. I mean, the man was he went independent. He left the Democratic Party and went independent over in Vermont simply because he didn't like the way things were going over there in the Democrat Party. He wanted to be more leftist, I guess. Well, he went off and became an independent. And Vermont elected him as an independent. The same thing happened in Connecticut with Joe Lieberman. The Democrats really weren't fond of Lieberman. Lieberman went independent and beat both the Democrat and the Republican in Connecticut for that seat, which shocked the nation, actually. So this whole notion that people cannot go outside of the party and win, or even be considered viable, has been turned on its head, especially in this season, this campaign season, because you've got three very well-noted outsiders who are giving the insiders a run for their money, who are giving them fits. And the insiders cannot figure out how to get rid of these outsiders. They have tried everything that they can possibly think of. Trump and Cruz have been hit with especially Trump has been hit with everything from the inner circle of the Republican blue bloods. Sanders has been hit with everything, even had stuff taken away from him from the DNC themselves, the Democratic National Committee, and he's still growing in popularity on the Democratic side. This is why I hate to say this, but this is why one of these people have to win. As much as I would hate Sanders winning, but he has to. I would love it if Trump wins. He has to win. I would love it if Cruz wins. He has to win. One of these three has to win, because if they don't, the insiders of both parties are going to make it near impossible for any outsider to ever run again.
So it has to be that an outsider has to win this time. They do. In order to keep politics in this country open for all, one of these three has to win. Because otherwise, the DNC and the RNC and the inside groups of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are going to make it near impossible at just about any level for an outsider to win. You're going to have to play ball. You're going to have to play ball, or in order to get along, or you're not even going to be allowed in. They're going to make it that difficult. Don't doubt me. They've already tried. They thought they made it difficult already. You know, Ross Perot shook up the Republican Party, and they tried to close ranks and make it a little bit more difficult for somebody who didn't follow the Republican line in order to get into office. And, you know, look, they kind of ruled the roost for a while. You know, they gave us GW, and then they gave us the wonderful war hero, Senator McCain. Then they gave us Romney. So, but now they've lost control again. So it's like having Ross Perot back in it. And if one of these three does not win, they're going to make it that much more difficult in the future for any of them to win. And that's just the way that's just the way politics in this country, in any country, actually really runs. And hopefully at some point, this whole system will be given back to the American people. But we, the American people, we've got to take that system back because it belongs to us, not to the elitists, not to the inside blue bloods. It belongs to the people, you and me. And hopefully this year we can take it back. Well, that sound, as you can hear in the background, means that we are out of time for today. So up next is Rush and then Sean. Have a great day. We'll be back here tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. I'm Rod Eccles. This has been The Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.